President, on the National Guard, you've talked a lot about Democratic-run cities and states. Yeah. Would you also consider sending the National Guard into red states and red cities that are also seeing high crime?
Sure, but there aren't that many of them. If you look at the top 25 cities that for crime, just about every one of those cities is run by Democrats. Just about every one of those cities is run by Democrats. Just about every one of those cities is run by Democrats.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at CD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, we have to head on over to Maryland. Why? Because we need to speak about their governor, Governor Wes Moore. Why do I want to talk about him today? Because he's making himself look like a fool. In the midst of the crime crackdown that's going on in D.C., by way of the National Guard and Donald Trump cleaning up the streets of D.C., so much so to the point that you have people saying that there isn't even a piece of paper on the floor in certain parts of D.C. now that Trump has cleaned it up. Obviously, as you all remember, Trump discussed now taking those efforts over to places like Chicago and Baltimore. We all heard what idiot in chief Brandon Johnson had to say, who was the mayor of Chicago. We heard what he had to say. But now I wanted to take a moment to hear what Governor Wes Moore had to say concerning Maryland. Many of you have seen this clip already. So the reason that I really want to play this for you now is that I want you to hear how great the contradiction is between what he's getting ready to say about Maryland and the city of Baltimore, how great it is, how Trump needs to keep Baltimore and Maryland's name out of his mouth if he's not going to walk the street. But then in the following video that I'm going to play after this, he's literally going to sit here and tell us how people are fleeing Baltimore like crazy. The population is dropping damn near to zero. And this is coming out of his mouth himself, right? While at the same time, pounding his chest like a big dog, telling Trump, don't speak on us if you're not going to come walk on our streets. So let's get into this video clip first, and then we're going to get into the clip of him on MSNBC discussing how people are running out of Baltimore for their life.
One thing we have now seen in just 2.5 years is that impatience delivers results. Together, in just our time, we have now cut the number of vacant homes in Baltimore by half. Together, we have broken the back of violent crime, and the last time the homicide rate was this low in Baltimore City, I was not born yet. Together, we can count on us screaming O's at Camden Yards for 30 more years, and I guarantee you, over the next 30 more years, we will have a better season than we're having this year, but the Baltimore Orioles will be in Baltimore for the next 30 years. It's Baltimore's time. And I want to say that loud and clear for anybody, especially in Washington, D.C., who might not hear me. If you are not willing to be part of the solution, keep our names out of your mouth. Donald Trump, if you are not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth. If you are not willing to understand the pride and the beauty of this city and this community, keep our name out of your mouth. Because if you were willing to visit, if you were willing to spend time, if you were willing to actually walk our communities and walk our streets and not just talk about us from the Oval Office, you would see what we see. One of the greatest cities in the United States of America. So let's keep up the work. Let's make sure that we also hold the promise of leaving no one behind in this mission.
Wow. The greatest city in America. I don't know about all that, because take a look at what we're getting ready to listen to and watch next. Let me pivot over to that next video clip.
I just want to ask you, just in general, what historically has been Baltimore's greatest challenge? Why has Baltimore had a crime problem over the past 3-4 decades?
Well, I think oftentimes Baltimore's had a neglect problem. You know, and I think about Baltimore used to be a city of 920,000 people. Baltimore is now a city of just under 600,000. In fact, if you look at the past few decades, Baltimore's had one of the most precipitous drops in population that we have seen in our country, with the exception of Cleveland and Detroit. But let's also remember this. There's a legacy of Baltimore. That Baltimore...
So he was filibustering. he was filibustering. You know, Scarborough asked him a very direct question concerning, like, listen, man, why is crime an issue? I know you're trying to pretend like it's not, but we all know crime is an issue in Baltimore. Baltimore is notoriously dangerous, notoriously deadly. And in his attempt to filibuster, he tried to spin it into Baltimore has been neglected, even though, I don't know, they've been under Democrat rule for God knows how long, you know, and you're openly admitting that people are fleeing from Baltimore, essentially running for their lives. That was a city of over 900,000. Now it's a city that's under 600,000. That's a 300,000 population dip. People are getting the heck out of Baltimore. They don't want anything to do with Baltimore. Yet at the same time, you're talking about it's the greatest city on earth. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? That sounds completely ridiculous. And then when he's talking about the other cities, what other cities did he mention? Let me rewind that back just a little bit.
If you look at the past few decades, Baltimore's had one of the most precipitous drops in population that we have seen in our country, with the exception of Cleveland and Detroit.
With the exception of Cleveland and Detroit. Cleveland is another city that's Democrat ran, and Detroit is another city that's Democrat ran as well. And what's interesting about the mayor of Detroit, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I did take a moment to just kind of Google these guys really quickly. The mayor of Detroit is someone who has claimed affiliation with the Democrat Party since 1986, right? That's when he first took public office in Detroit, right? Or maybe in Michigan as a whole. Right? In Michigan as a whole. It was in 1986. He recently converted to independent in 2024. So essentially, he doesn't even want anything to do with the Democrat Party. That's damage control. When you see a lot of former Democrats talking about I'm independent now, that lets you know how trash the Democrat Party is and how poorly they're doing, to where now, in order to save face, they can't just jump ship and say that I'm a Republican, kind of like, you know, Kevin Durant signed with the Golden State Warriors back in the day after being down 3-1, and then they came back and lost. You know, I don't really have to get into all that. You know, I don't want to turn this into a sports conversation, but, you know, they don't want to see themselves, they don't want to show themselves jumping ship like Kevin Durant did when he went to Golden State, right? And just going full on Republican. So instead they say, I'm an independent, right? But nonetheless, these are Democrat ran cities to which the population of these cities are flatlining. We've discussed so many times on this channel how in New York, Illinois, and California, they've seen a population decline. They've been seeing a population decline for 10 years straight. All three of these places, all Democrat ran from top to bottom. You know, so it speaks volumes. I don't know why these guys get out here and want to talk crazy when they know their backyards are messy, right? And I want to play this clip next too from Trump, where he actually, you know, responded to Wes Moore. This still shot is hilarious. I'm going to have to use that on a thumbnail. I'm going to have to use that on a thumbnail. But I want to play Trump's response next to what he had to say about Wes Moore telling him, hey, man, don't speak on us if you're not willing to walk through our community. Something that Wes Moore isn't even willing to do. He's not willing to walk through Baltimore as well. But let's hear what Trump had to say in response.
Baltimore is a horrible, horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no, I'm the president of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you. But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. But he's trying to be derogatory. And I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you. He came over to me. He hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, well, it's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly, but I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I want to just shake your hand. Thank you very much, Governor. That was it. And then every time I see him on television, he's knocking the hell out of me. So, but that's all right. That's called politics. But Governor Moore's he's doing a bad job. Newsom's doing a bad job. All of their potential candidates are doing a bad job. I can't imagine Pritzker being even a candidate, but somebody said he is. He can't do the work, can't do the job. He's not temperamentally suited.
JB Pritzker out of Illinois is so trash. He's the biggest try hard out of everybody who's running for office, and they're already getting their campaigns essentially started now, like Newsom and whatnot. I don't see Wes Moore running, at least not yet. He doesn't appear to be trying. It doesn't seem like he's been campaigning the way JB Pritzker and Newsom have been campaigning ever since Trump won. But JB Pritzker is such a tryhard. He's been going the hardest. And has no traction. He's not even top 5 when Democrat voters are polled and they're being posed a question: who would you like to see, run for president and be the ticket for the Democrats in 2028? He's not even top 5. I don't even think he makes top 10. The guy is trash. But I don't want to deviate too far off topic. I love trashing JB Pritzker whenever I get a chance to, though. Going back to what he's saying about Wes Moore, and that behind the scenes Wes Moore told him, "I think you're the greatest president of my lifetime." That's hilarious. It's funny. If there's one thing we all know about Trump, he's the king of trolling as well. But I don't listen to that and think that is that too far-fetched, right? I don't think it's so far-fetched because a lot of Democrats, and you hear about this over and over again, what they say behind the scenes never matches what they say when they're on camera. It never matches what they say when they're on camera. And just look at this here, going back to that football game, I think it was the Army versus Navy game, when him and Wes Moore met upon Trump becoming president, winning the presidency in a landslide against Kamala Harris. Look at this here. Here's one photo here. You see Wes Moore cheesing, man. So happy to see Trump at that game. Just so happy. Big smile on his face. Nice to see you, Mr. President. I wish that I can play this video here. There's video footage of it. I just got to kind of just protect myself, you know what I mean, as far as YouTube goes, and not play it, you know what I mean, because I'm not sure how like Fox Nation and whatever feels about this kind of stuff. So I'm not going to play the video, but you see how like Wes Moore is, he got the ugly cheese. He cheesing so hard that man turned ugly. You said, God damn, that boy cheesing. He was happy to see Trump, and he was like that throughout the entire video. As soon as Trump walked through the door, that man had cheese all over his face, excited to see Trump and to be next to him and to be able to have a conversation with him. So once again, I don't know why you guys talk like this. I don't know why you guys try to get big. Look at this here. Everything comes out when you guys start talking like this. All your dirt, all the skeletons in your closet, just comes out. I didn't even know this about Wes Moore. Check this out here. President Trump calls out Maryland Governor Wes Moore for blatantly lying about being an award. Oh my God, blatantly lying about being awarded the Bronze Star in the U.S. military. This is what Trump posted up. He stated, "Did Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, lie about being a Bronze Star?" And as you can see here, this was from last year, August 30th of 2024. Maryland Governor Wes Moore falsely claimed to be a Bronze Star recipient on White House fellowship application. Says it was an honest mistake. It wasn't a mistake. You don't put that down by mistake. You just got caught up lying. So once again, why talk all this big and bad talk? You in private, we know you're saying, Trump, you're the greatest president of all time. But then publicly, you guys come out and talk crazy, and you got all these skeletons in your closet. Here goes another clip of him on MSNBC just talking crazy, as if he has some sort of power over Trump as it pertains to the National Guard. Check this clip out next.
I'm very clear that I will work with anyone, but I will bow down to no one. And I understand where my constitutional authority begins, and I understand where my constitutional authority allows me to do. And as the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard, I have the sole responsibility and the sole honor of being able to determine how, when, and why the Maryland National Guard is utilized. And it's something that I've done.
You don't have the sole responsibility and the sole honor. The president of the United States does. Now, you could try to challenge it like Gavin Newsom did and lose in court. You know what I mean? But the reality is that what you're saying isn't true. And you know that what you're saying isn't true. So why even get up here and lie? I just don't understand why they do this. I really don't, because it doesn't help them in the end. It doesn't help them at all. It's mind-boggling that all of these governors and mayors are opposed to safe streets and having their cities cleaned up in the way that Washington, D.C. has. I want to play two more videos for you guys very quickly before we head on out of here. I want to play this first. Let's check this out. Give me just a moment to pull this clip up. I want to play this over here, right? Rewind it back. I'm going to say this first things first, right? There's going to be some profanity in this clip here. There's going to be some profanity. So if you got kids around or you're at work and you're listening to this, you might want to turn it down a little bit, right? But I didn't want to clean it up because if I clean up the profanity, it kind of takes away from what's being said here. Because it's a bit how he's articulating himself is comical. He's intentionally being funny, but at the same time, you can hear kind of the joy in his voice of, you know, just being happy that the streets are cleaned up and that he can walk the streets unbothered. He could wear his jewelry and feel safe. And in the event that something may happen to him, he knows law enforcement, National Guard, is right there to protect him. Okay, when he needs it. So let's get into this clip next. Let's check this out. And also, once again, profanity alert. Okay, hide your kids and hide your phone from your boss.
They said FBI, DEA, ICE, it's all that outside in Washington, D.C. I don't even gotta look over my shoulder no more. I'm walking around with this shit. I ain't hiding none of this shit. I'm walking blocks with this motherfucker. Listen, jump out on me if you want. I'm gonna scream. They're gonna be here in 33 seconds. As soon as you tell about, get that shit up. Ah! Help! They gonna help the shit out of me. Y'all niggas jump out of here I want. Good God almighty, boy. I got some motherfucking help. Some backup. For real, you jump out, I'm gonna blow your ass. Look, they right here. Look, they outside, though. Oh, God almighty. I could just scream, they gonna help me.
Oh man, but all jokes aside, I've seen so many videos like this. So many videos. They're not all like, you know, on a comical level like this, but almost all you guys watching this have seen videos like this just all over TikTok, all over Twitter. And primarily, you know, as quiet as it's kept, you know, Democrats don't want you to know, but primarily almost all videos that you see like this are coming from the Black residents of DC that are just in complete joy and disbelief at how safe the city has become, how clean it's become, you know, how unafraid they are to walk down the street. They are now, and just complete disbelief and joy and happy. I've almost seen almost only Black DC residents making videos like this, and they're just posted like crazy all over the internet. So like, don't believe the hype and the whatever nonsense that's coming from the DNC, where they're trying to spin this into a race thing. They tried to make it like some sort of a race thing, some sort of an anti-Black thing. But that narrative has kind of fallen on deaf ears. You know, nobody's taking that seriously at all. They're not taking that stuff serious at all whatsoever. I mean, and as a matter of fact, you got people out here taking photos like this. Yeah, this person isn't Black, but my point is let's take Democrats at their word. That what's happening in DC is the equivalent of like Nazi Germany, right? Let's take them at their word on this. Look at this, how you have people. Did we see stuff like this during World War II, where you had people running to take pictures with Nazis? I mean, look at this here. Let me rewind this back from the beginning. I'm going to blow it up. I'll just remove myself from the frame temporarily, you know, and let's just check this out. Look at this. New people are now taking photos with the National Guardsmen in DC. This comes after 8 consecutive days with 0 homicide. This is what winning looks like. I mean, come on, man. I don't think that was happening in Germany in World War II. I don't think stuff like that was going on in Germany. You didn't have, black folks walking down the street, with glee, knowing that all they have to do is go, somebody help me, and the National Guard will be right there to protect them. And you definitely didn't have, people just randomly running up to Nazis saying, "Can I take a picture with you?" With all the joy in the world, man. So Democrats, man, they're losing this fight, and they're losing it badly, and they're making themselves look crazy, being the party that's pro-crime. How can you be against any of this? It's truly mind-boggling. It truly is. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, share this video on your social media platforms, and do not forget to follow me on Telegram at CD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.